welcome in to another episode of Too Many Points here on the Tell Me More podcast. I'm your host, Mac Moore, and finally, the first time Bobby G has made it on to this new show. We had to scrap the NFL show. We might bring it back. I mean, this episode's pretty much going to be the NFL show because we're only going to talk about NFL on this one. But I decided we're going to expand it a little bit. We're going to add betting, which was half of our show anyways, and we're going to be able to make it where I could easily transition to talking NBA. I know that won't be you coming on the show to talk about NBA, but I got a few of the old crew from KU jumping on every week. So I figured this is perfect. Too many points. Bobby G makes his epic return after bailing it on me way too many times. Bobby, how's it going this morning?
It wasn't bailing. It was more just falling asleep randomly a lot because I work a lot of weird hours now. But don't worry, I do bet on NBA. I know nothing about the NBA, but I'm such a degenerate, I still will bet on it. So it's fantastic.
That's good. Solid. That's exactly what we need to tell our audience to kick things off. So we like I said, we're going to talk NFL. This is our Monday morning quarterback type pod. We're just going to come on and try to do this as much as we can. Obviously, it requires both of us to be awake at 10 or 11 a.m. on Monday mornings, which I don't know how often that can happen. Don't expect it, but we're going to try our best. And this week is a good time to get started because the Sunday night game, I'll just let you – I want to figure out your narrative. I'm not going to push where I'm at. I have my own thing. But it's your Patriots going up against the Seahawks in what became a pretty epic clash. It came down to the wire and obviously did not turn out well for the Pats there at the end, but 35-30 victory for the Seahawks. Bobby, what did you think of the game?
You know what? I thought it was a game where I was expecting the Seahawks to run it a lot more and a lot more effectively. Instead, they just passed all over that vaunted Patriots secondary. Metcalf made Gilmore look like he was just another guy, not the defensive player of the year. Russell Wilson did whatever he wanted. He made everyone look like a stud. But the most important thing to me was me being me. I was throwing out a lot of Cam Newton slander early in that game when it was looking like a blowout, because I will go on record in saying he's a fantastic athlete. He can run the ball all he wants, but I do not want him throwing the ball, and I do not want him throwing the ball to these receivers because they are hot garbage. That's how they looked. And then all of a sudden, Cam Newton looked like that MVP Cam, and he looked a little bit better. So I did worry that the Patriots were going to ruin a tank by signing Newton and just get it in that 9-7, 10-6 range, and then can bounce in divisional. So you're not really gaining anything. And then he's going to sign for $30 million somewhere else. But for the Patriots, at least, the offense looked, okay. The play call at the end was a little obvious, running into an 11-man box when I would have liked to see them spread it out or at least have some form of passing option there. The offense looks good. The defense looked horrid, but I more attribute that to how Russell Wilson's playing so far early in the year. The Patriots will figure it out. But let's be honest. Josh Allen's going to be the MVP, and the Bills are going 16-0.
I don't know if what their record will look like, but I do know Josh Allen is my fantasy football MVP, and I still can't believe I snatched him up in the 6th round or something stupid. Just as everybody is I guess I can gamble on Tom Brady this year. It should work out. I'm Josh Allen is free points. Even if he sucks as bad as he was last year, he's a fantasy football god. Pick him up, but we'll save that for later when we get to our fantasy football stuff. I'm surprised. I'm in agreement with you. I don't know what the hell this is. I finally bring you back on, and you just start taking these normal, rational points. We're supposed to be yelling at one another, Bobby.
We'll get to the Chiefs offense. Don't worry.
Okay. So I was hoping there would be that sort of reactionary, no matter what happened in the game, once teams lose, then it's what went wrong? And it's well, you faced a really good team run by a MVP candidate. Well, I guess he's never an MVP candidate, but he damn well should be. Russell Wilson is murdering right now, and I saw the set. Was it 7 passing touchdowns and 7 incompletions so far? And you're just well, that's just stupid. To play at that level and to be able to do that against a good defense, maybe the Patriots just won't have what they had last year with the various missing pieces. But that's a good defense that he was able to do that against. So then you look on the offensive side, and you're right. Cam Newton we knew that at the very least, if he's not hobbled, he will. It's just like Josh Allen. There is a high floor to what he does because his running ability, you can't match it. And if he can throw, which we have seen at different times, it's not always the most accurate, but he has an arm, and it's not as inaccurate as we've seen Josh Allen so far in the NFL. Cam Newton, healthy, when that shoulder's not hurt, which we've no way to know until we see it. So far, he's looked really, really good. And, yeah, the only real negative was that last play call, which Bill Belichick said that was our best play, so we went with it. Yeah, you went with it 3 times. By the end, they knew, and if you don't have a pass option on it to slow them down, if there's not some sort of misdirection with the play action, they're going to kill you on it. Also, they pulled the guard, so everybody got through. It was a jailbreak, and Cam Newton, he's Superman, but he ran into a lot of supervillains on the Seahawks defense when he was trying to get over that goal line. So, bad move, but it's Bill Belichick. He's probably just pretending he was okay with the call, and he's, defending it because he'll never do that again, and somebody will think on the next one they're going to do that. Cam Newton's just going to pass it over the top the next time they're in that situation. But good game for the Pats.
The thing I respect about that play call at the end is Bill Belichick was really going for the memes. He ran it from the 1-yard line against the Seahawks. If he made that would have surpassed the 28-3 memes. But the Falcons can't get away from that misery, as we've seen. But, McDaniels, you went for the spicy meme at the end. I can't hate on that.
Yeah, I'm okay with the run, and I still think there should be an outlet. There should be one guy who is going out for the pass just to make the Seahawks defense second-guess it, or in this situation, when they break through, Cam can try to throw it. But also some sort of misdirection, like have a player come across the line in motion that actually makes them think it's going in the opposite direction. Instead, it was very obvious, little movement, and as soon as you saw him line up, you're like, he's just going to try to go off the left side, and everybody knew it. And sometimes with Cam, you know where he's going, and he's still going to get it. That was not the case this time. Any other big takeaways from the game before we move on? I think next up, we'll talk about our favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, it's funny that Julian Edelman set a career high in receiving yards with Cam Newton at quarterback. I'm just going to leave that there. Is he better than Tom Brady? No. Are the memes better than Tom Brady? Yes.
That's fair. So, obviously, we're going an Atlanta Falcons team that, we thought their worst loss would be giving up such a huge lead to the Patriots in a Super Bowl. And obviously this one didn't mean shit, but just as embarrassing. It was a good time. I don't know what else to take away except now there's no Kyle Shanahan to blame this on. Just Matt Ryan sitting back there looking sad. Except his sadness, it's kind of like stone face, but not in a good way. It's just like he doesn't quite have feelings. He doesn't understand what's happening around him. And so he just has that,
he's got that Bobby face. He's just there. He's existing.
So in this one, I'll just try to start. Is this more about the Falcons' collapse or more about the Cowboys making a comeback and not botching it in the final minutes?
This is 100% on the Falcons. What is Dan Quinn even being allowed on that plane for? He has no business. And if you're anyone on that hands team, your job is literally to get the ball. You're all staring at it. That's the game right there. It's not moving. You can literally just stand on top of it and fall down on it, and you win the game. Instead, they just huddle around it, don't do anything, and then it squeaks down to the right side for a couple more yards, and the Cowboys get the dub. But, how do you lose a game like this? It makes sense. They can't run the ball because Todd Gurley looks like he's about 90 out there. He looks like he's running cement like Gronk is on the Bucs. So, fantastic for the Cowboys and Dak to win this game. But, you basically beat a high school team when it comes to sealing out a win.
Yeah, I'm going to give some more love to Dak. I think you have to. I think this, particularly with the offseason, I think when you have an owner like Jerry Jones who's not willing to pay a quarterback, he seems like the guy that would overpay everybody. And he has. He's overpaid Zeke Elliott. He's overpaid Amari Cooper. He's just going down the list to everybody other than his quarterback. And you're like, well, this is bad. So Dak, is doing two things. One, it's building up his rep in case he does have to go get a contract elsewhere. But he's putting the pressure on Jerry Jones by putting up this performance where he gets the hat trick. No, not just wearing a Stetson to the pregame and the postgame presser, but 3 rushing touchdowns. And, I mean, that hat says I'm a Cowboy, so Jerry Jones is on the hook for make it happen. And you can't say it's because, well, he's pretty good, but we're not sure if he's clutch. Right now, this team has a decent amount of holes, and it's Dak Prescott who's trying to will them to victory. Didn't quite work last week, but worked this week. And if you don't have him, that Zeke Elliott, that's over. Like, whatever his upside is as an elite back, that wasn't going to win you real games in the playoffs when he was at his peak. He's not quite there right now. It's all about what Dak Prescott can do. And you better lock him down because you're going to that's the one guy, as opposed to a guy we're going to talk about in a little bit, Kirk Cousins going on the open market. It's not very often that a team gives up on a player and you could sign him to a huge contract and that benefits you. I think Dak will be that guy if Jerry Jones is stupid and lets him go here.
Yeah, I mean, Dak is a fantastic quarterback, but I'm curious because you brought up the rushing touchdowns. So who is going to be the better fantasy quarterback this year, Dak or Josh Allen?
Oh, it's tough. It depends on how much of this early season Josh Allen is just kind of a mirage. Like, if it's a step forward because, one, he's improved however much, and then two, it's hard to be good, particularly when you're saying he's inaccurate deep, but you don't have any deep threats, then that's not him being inaccurate. That means you didn't build the team right. Now you have Stephon Diggs out there, you have John Brown. Like, all of a sudden, you're putting all these things together that can at the very least, give him the potential to improve. And he's such a good runner that he just has to be average to above average as a passer. And right now he's doing more than that. If he stays doing more than that, it's Josh Allen. If he comes back down to where I expect him to be, which is slightly above average, I think they still win a lot of games. I still think he does hella work for me as my fantasy quarterback. But in terms of those big games, like we just saw where he put up 51 points for me in my fantasy league, like that's not going to happen very often. We have weird scoring. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I was like, explain this to me.
You had to draft for me one of the years. It's a strange scoring league. There's a big plays give you a lot more points, and basically between him and Aaron Jones, I outscored like 3 members of our league just from those two. It was pretty good. So yeah, I think those type of performances aren't going to happen a lot for him, and I think they'll happen a little more for Dak Prescott. So Josh Allen coming back down, I would say Dak Prescott, but God, it's not a big margin. Like Josh Allen being not a good quarterback is still going to put up a lot of fantasy football points and be really close to the top quarterbacks in the league.
No, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm really excited to see Josh Allen. I hope he keeps it up because I want Buffalo to be, somewhat good because you have the Jets who are just going to be horrid. They're running out their, high school offense with Braxton Berrios as their wide receiver one and Frank Gore, which I don't want to slander Frank Gore, but sorry, dude. Like you're way past your prime. But I mean, the Dolphins are going to be Dolphins. They just ruined the spread yesterday for no reason because Fitzmagic had to just throw in that garbage time touchdown. But I would go with 100% of Josh Allen. We'll get into fantasy later, but I was just curious because you brought up the rushing touchdowns for Dak.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's close, and I'm assuming the season goes well for Dak. Because if it's a normal Cowboys season, if he's not able to overcome what we know comes with playing under a Jerry Jones team, then it brings him down a little bit. And like I said, Josh Allen, it's already so high, and he doesn't even have to keep playing the way he's playing, and he's going to score a lot of points if he's able to maintain this at all. Expect a hell of a fantasy season. Next up, we're gonna talk about my Chiefs. We have to knock that out, and you kind of prefaced it before we went on that this would be a game that we really need to talk about. So I just want to praise Harrison Butker because everybody else did, and I don't want to miss it, but I feel like it's already been done, so we'll keep it short. Being able to hit that many 50-plus yarders to be make the 53 and have the penalty, to make a 58 and be iced, and then to still nail the next one, and that to be two 58-yarders he made, not counting the one that didn't count there with the timeout and overtime. That's the Chiefs franchise record that he hit twice in a game. So that's a hell of a performance. Now, the fact that it came down to the kicker when the Chiefs offense, as prolific as it is, and as much as I praised them on my last podcast, because you made a joke about it during that game against the Texans, the dink and dunk.
Alex Smith looks prime in this Chiefs offense right now.
But that's the thing. Against the Texans, I looked at it as a positive. I saw it as they were given the short passing, they took it, and they still put up 34. Like, that means imagine what they can do when they unleash it. The problem was you come into this game against the Chargers, it's not just we took what was there. The Chiefs offense is not in rhythm yet. And then you add in, now you're going up against a Chargers defensive line that gave the Chiefs hell. The final stat line was, I think, just one sack for Bosa, but that did not tell the story of what happened in that game. That Chargers defensive line was in Mahomes' face the entire time, and I was scared for him. I was scared for the quarterback. I didn't even want the win. I just wanted them to not get Patrick Mahomes injured week 2. So by the time it was done, it wasn't a great offensive performance. But once again, you can't hold them down for 4 quarters. And unless you build up a really big lead, which, great effort from Justin Herbert, but not quite enough to pull the game away, Chiefs will get back in it. They got themselves in a position. The kicker sealed it for him. I'm just going to do a positive as much as I can because I don't know how bad the Chargers are this year. I would say without Phillip Rivers, maybe, but I didn't think Phillip Rivers did that good last year. Justin Herbert had a hell of a day. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see. I don't think I have enough information this early in the year to think the Chiefs have had a bad start when they're 2-0.
I think it's not a bad start. It's just a weird start because I will poke fun at them for thinking this is the Alex Smith offense, but that's exactly what it looks like. We got Edwards-Helaire at running back who runs it really well, so they are taking a little bit of pressure off Mahomes. But it also looks like when they're running it that much, or at least they did with the Texans, they're also throwing that offense out of sync because they're used to, going deep down the field, which they only have done, once this year, and that was about the 50-yard touchdown at Tyreek Hill. Everything just looks a little bit off right now. Maybe it's because that offensive line is terrible. We saw them against Bosa and Ingram. Mahomes was hurried just about every pass. That may be why. I mean, the Chargers look good. They should not have looked that good with Justin Herbert in there, who didn't even know he was starting till about a millisecond before kickoff or whatever it was. So, I'll poke a little bit of fun at the Chiefs, but like you said, they're 2-0. They got the job done. Props to Harrison Butker. Some kickers do matter. Most kickers do not. He's one of the few that do. So congratulations to him. Well worth the money. But what happened to that Chiefs defensive line? That's what I want to know. You pay Chris Jones all that money, and it seemed like they were running the ball down their throat really easy when it should have been pretty obvious that you should have stacked the box.
Yeah, I don't know. They looked good week 1. They looked good enough that everybody was like, well, this is what we expected. This is even more than kind of when they gelled in the postseason last year. And then, very next week, not good. It's hard to pinpoint what the problem is. It could just be that when you lose all your cornerbacks and all of a sudden you're down to nobody, and this rookie quarterback's having an easy time getting it out to those receivers early and often. That makes it harder for the defense to kind of figure out what they're doing. And then once that passing game opens up, it makes it that much easier to start running it down the defense's throat. So that could be part of it. I didn't get enough time to fully look over the tape. And mostly I was just sitting there as a Chiefs fan, I've become only watch the offense. Whatever happens on defense doesn't really matter. It's if the offense gets going, it's we're down 8 in the fourth quarter, nothing. They can come back down double digits at halftime. I know what this team is capable of. So you just kind of wait. But the later it gets, the more you're wondering, wait, is this going to be the one where they don't? Because, you're not going to go 16-0. You're not going to be the Buffalo Bills in Bobby's predictions.
No one can be the Buffalo Bills.
There's a good chance that you're going to end up losing a few of those because, you waited too long, which, I don't know how much is waiting. I don't know how much that's narrative that we build in, but it definitely seems like the team itself is following that narrative, that they aren't as aggressive at times because they're just like, well, we'll get there. Like, don't press it yet because we know we can make that comeback. And then when those minutes are, ticking down, those seconds are ticking down in the fourth, and you still haven't got there yet, it scares you a little bit. But, big 54-yarder to Tyreek Hill, immediately you're like, oh, yeah, that's why I wasn't worried. That play was freaking amazing. It split second, don't blink, and you just missed. That's the game there. Like, yeah, it took those kicks down the stretch, but I think the Chargers were done at that point. I think the moment Tyreek Hill doesn't get down, even just if they would have stopped him at the 2-yard line, I think they had a better shot. The fact that he just bounces in and they're like, touchdown, Chargers are out. They're done at that moment. So it's one where I think the Chiefs obviously have a lot of things to build on, but 2 weeks there, probably not against great teams. I'll give them a little bit more time. I want to see. I don't know how bad the Texans are this year without DeAndre Hopkins. It didn't look good, but it also just looked like a lot of that was coaching. Week 2 of the Chargers, that's a rookie quarterback, but also that was an offense that was built with pieces, and that was a defense that hella stacked, and I thought they'd be not as good without Derwin James, but that defensive line is so good, it's still going to wreak havoc week to week. So I'll wait. We'll see what's coming up, and I'll make decisions on the Chiefs then. But we talked about Justin Herbert getting into the game because Tyrod Taylor chest hurt. Did somebody chest bump him too hard? Nobody really told us what happened with Tyrod Taylor that made him have to sit out there. But that was just one of many injuries that we watched happen in week 2. It was the only story that I heard when I was on NFL Sunday Ticket on the Red Zone. It was just like injury, injury, injury. We got obviously the biggest one, Saquon Barkley tore ACL, and that just completely destroys anything the Giants thought they were going to do. I didn't think they really had much anyways, but now it's entirely Daniel Jones sitting back there with, not a good defense, and he has a lot of wide receiver weapons, but what is that going to mean when you have 0 running threats? We'll see what happens. Drew Lock hurts his shoulder in the Denver Steelers game. Chicago, you got David Montgomery, who hurts his shoulder and comes back. Anthony Barr, Vikings, hurts his shoulder, doesn't come back. And then the one that probably is the biggest effect on fantasy football, but I guess it's going to make the Panthers lose more, but they were already going to lose a lot. Like Christian McCaffrey was going to have, MVP-type numbers to get them to 3 wins.
They're only 3 wins?
I don't know if it's 3 wins, but the point is it was never a lot anyways. So
okay, fair enough.
They're worse. They're like they were a team that wasn't good last year, and he did everything. How many years can he put the team entirely on his back? Well, apparently it's over now. Like, this is the number, because gets that ankle injury, is going to be out at least a few games. Panthers have no shot because they have nothing else happening on that offense. Usually when you see a big star go down, like you get those fantasy vultures, you got like I feel stupid. I let Darrell Henderson go, and all of a sudden Cam Akers goes down, and he gets up, and just starts getting points on the board. Now I'm going to have to waste a bunch of my waiver money to try to pick him back up when I had him on my roster. You have these guys that you're like, all right, who's next in line? I'm going to grab him real fast. He's not going to do as good, or sometimes they do, but that's who I'm going to grab real fast. There's nobody to grab for the Panthers. Like, you can't just go. You're gonna go Mike Davis? Like, what's the option? All that entire offense is built around him, and it's imploded. And so, what I'm saying is, bet against the Panthers. Anything to make money right now, bet against them. Bet against them until McCaffrey gets back, and then bet against them some more. That's all I got there. Any other injuries I'm missing, or anything? Any of those that stand out that you want to talk about real quick, Bobby?
The McCaffrey injury is huge for fantasy and for the Panthers, like you said. But let's say you have a football field tomorrow, and you have the Panthers and you have the Jets. You have to put your house on one of those teams. Who are you going to take? So
tomorrow with McCaffrey out.
Yeah, with McCaffrey out.
I'm going Jets.
You're going the Jets.
If we're going McCaffrey in, Panthers.
Wow.
With the bum ankle. I will take, if they let him play on a bad ankle, I'm still taking the Panthers over the Jets.
Man, you shading Teddy Bridgewater that hard that you're going to take the Jets?
It's not Bridgewater, other than the fact that he doesn't have weapons. He's moved into a new offense, and that offense was whatever. Like you had a COVID offseason, right? Like everybody did not get the reps they need. So any changes are going to affect you that much more. Now imagine those changes when you're dropped into an offense that's entirely built around one player, and not like the way we traditionally look at it, not like the Falcons or it's built around throwing to Julio Jones. Like we're talking Christian McCaffrey is 90% of the offense. If he's gone, it doesn't matter what Bridgewater is capable of doing. He's going into a no-win situation. And as bad as the Jets are, I'm taking the team that at least knows what, like, they're doing exactly the shitty offense they planned. I'll take that. I'll go with that.
That's respectable, but I think we should bring up what happened to the 49ers and their Super Bowl hangover injury implosion. They lost Jimmy G. They lost Mostert. I believe they lost Coleman. It looks like they lost Bosa for the season. They lost Solomon Thomas. They lost another safety. I don't remember that. They try to blame it on the turf, but even if the turf monster got you a little bit, I mean, the Jets still lost to Nick Mullins in the second half, and you're going to take that over Teddy Bridgewater. I'm going to put the Panthers on the hypothetical sports betting. I got to look up who they're playing because this is going to be fun. Oh, they're playing the Chargers. That's going to be a fantastic bet.
Hey, once again, just bet against the Panthers the whole time. Jets Colts. That one, I mean, that's probably money there. You're not wrong. Colts, I think, is probably the most interesting one because I think I heard a lot of people talking about Phillip Rivers week one. That look, old Phillip Rivers is back, and it was like he had a good game. Like there's one pass at the end that wasn't all that bad compared to what he normally does. This isn't Phillip Rivers yet. And week two, they do work. A lot of that is knowing that you need to get to the ball to Taylor. Use that, and then let Phillip Rivers play off of that. And that's always what's worked. What the problem is, we're in a passing league, and over time, you drift back to more Phillip Rivers, until you're wondering, why do we got Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler over there not getting the ball? Like that's what happens with Phillip Rivers. So we'll see as the Colts go through the year. But if they can find that balance and lean on the running game enough to make it where Phillip Rivers just big play moments, just big plays, and please try to limit the fourth quarter interceptions. Colts might be really – and the rest of the team is built. We know they had the pieces. We losing Andrew Luck last year, and they didn't look bad, just having to kind of on the fly move on without their star quarterback. Now Phillip Rivers in the right spot, but I'll have to see. We're not going to learn anything against the Jets, though. Bet against the Jets, and those are our best picks. Just bet against Panthers and Jets all season. That's why you guys tuned in, right? Too many points. It's all about the sports bets, so couldn't get that information from anybody else.
No, they can get sports bets from anyone. They can only come here for Bobby's hypothetical sports bets.
That's true. And we're the only ones that we don't give predictions. We give spoilers. So next up, we're going to do quick hits. And I always say quick hits. I've never been successful at making anything a quick topic. But first one I want to hit, we got Kirk Cousins. This is one of our favorites. We're going to have to talk about this. 11 and 20 of 26, 113 yards, 3 INTs. And, I given away my point earlier with talking about Dak Prescott. That's a rule people need to follow. Like, unless there is a megalomaniac owner who's too stupid to keep his star quarterback, there's a reason somebody like Kirk Cousins hits the open market. And it's not a bad thing to go get them, but if you pay them a ridiculous amount of money, that's a bad plan. Because we know how this league works. One, if you overpay a quarterback, that doesn't give them the pieces to make them successful. So if they're not elite, they are going to look even worse without having the support system. Kirk Cousins also just wasn't that good. He was never that good. He had a few games and he has a few throws that tricks you, but you had years of watching it. There's a reason, even as dumb, like maybe you could just chalk it up to the Washington football team is going to make boneheaded decisions. But no, we all watched Kirk Cousins not be good, and now you put him on a team that otherwise has so many things going well for it. And last year it was they should make a huge jump forward. Nope, we overpaid a guy to not move us forward, and now they moved hella backwards, and it's all on Kirk Cousins. So I just want this far in. Is this an overreaction for me wanting to shit on Kirk Cousins every second that I get the chance?
No, you should always dunk on Kirk Cousins because it's too easy. You're gonna posterize him every time. This is the one time we can dunk on someone, and it's always gonna be easy. It's gonna be fantastic. Not only did they were like, man, that's weird. This franchise quarterbacks on the free agency market. Why did the Redskins want him? And then they're like, you beat the Saints in the playoffs. Let's extend you because you're just that fantastic that you can almost keep up with Case Keenum, what Case Keenum did with us.
Would you like $84 million to be put into your account immediately? Here you go, Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, you could have got Case for what, $5 and a McDonald's BOGO. I mean, that's all you need. You gave him a couple fillet of fish and you move on. But no, he had to overpay Kirk Cousins. You alienated Stephon Diggs for some reason. Did we ever figure out why he hated the Vikings so much?
Because they gave him Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins. Like, those were his, he only imagined what was next, and he got the hell out of there. Think about that. Think of how bad Kirk Cousins is. It's Stephon Diggs like, man, I got to go play for that Josh Allen kid because I can't deal with Kirk Cousins right now.
And he's doing better with Josh Allen.
Yeah. So I was trying to think if there's anything else to take away from this other than Kirk Cousins really bad, and he's made – you talk about it being easy making fun of him. He's made it that much easier. All of the off-season stuff with, him talking about how he's going to play. There's no way – never even thought about sitting out because of COVID. And well, of course you're not. You're robbing this team right now. Why would you ever sit out? Go out there, suck every moment, and get all the money you can before it's over. Can't miss that opportunity. Come on, man.
See, he's like the high-end Ryan Fitzpatrick because Ryan Fitzpatrick will fool you with a couple of games. That's what Kirk Cousins has done. He'll have that, good moment here and there. He'll win a playoff game. But the cycle's about to loop back around to the terrible moments. And you know what? You just got to respect the game. The guy fooled everyone. The guy fooled the Vikings and then giving him,
I think he just fooled the Vikings.
I mean, yeah, that's everyone that counted. I mean, we could look at him and be like, I wouldn't give him $100 million, but we don't even have $100 to give him. So
I wouldn't give him $100. If that's what I had to give him, and I had to, I wouldn't. It's just go draft a quarterback. I think when we've seen guys, and I know it's so easy to pick out a Dak Prescott or everybody tries to go back to the Tom Brady thing, but really just any quarterback that you see in the draft that you feel like is good, go grab them. And the cost of a number one pick is not more than handing a guy $84 million that isn't worth it. Literally just go draft a guy, and that rookie deal, even if it fails, just be smarter than the Jaguars and go get a new one. Don't put it on your, I think that's where Jacksonville fell into is we can't draft another one. That one didn't work. Or we still got to wait out for him to possibly get good. It's no, just keep stacking those. Build the rest of the team, go after a quarterback, and if it fails and you notice after 3 years, maybe 2, depends on how bad they're playing, go get another one. And that should be the process because it's so much cheaper than going on the open market and paying for used goods. Just don't do it. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bad game plan. Now, if you did a short term, if Kirk Cousins was imagine when he came in, it was this 1 year we're overpaying you because we have the money. It's kind of like the Sammy Watkins contract for the Chiefs. We know you're not worth that, but we're not paying anybody else that. And since it's not going to be on our books for a while, we'll do it. It fits into our scheme just well enough. Yeah, go get a guy like that. That could work. But don't give a multi-year deal that is going to just cripple your salary cap options and make it where you can't make other decisions when there's a good possibility that, Kirk Cousins is going to suck because he already sucked. You already had the tape. You could go watch it. Why do you have scouts if you're not going to actually watch the game film and figure out if this is the right decision for your franchise? Bad move by Minnesota. And so, like I said, that was going to be a quick hit, and it's impossible to talk about Kirk Cousins for 2 minutes without just getting riled up.
It's not done yet because I'm going to throw something at you. In the past couple of years, who would you have rather had as your quarterback? And just in terms of not being disappointed, would you have rather have Mitch Trubisky getting drafted by the Bears or Kirk Cousins getting paid all that money?
Does this have to come with is it like the actual scenario, or is it like
it's the actual scenario? You drafted Trubisky over Mahomes and Watson, or you signed Kirk Cousins to do absolutely nothing.
It's Trubisky because of the other two. Like, if it's just that normal, we took a guy third and it didn't really make sense, but now we're stuck with him for a few years and we can get out, I'd rather do that than pay Kirk Cousins. Now, when you know the outcome and you know that there were two great players behind him that you're like, nah, we need to trade and get this piece of shit, that's going to stick with you for a while, I think. I think that I'll give that one the nod, but not the, like, generic version of the scenario where it's like picking a quarterback early that blows up. That happens. You got to do it. You know, you got to pick somebody there. And if it fails, fine. Be ready to do it again. And don't, like, hold on for too long because you stake your reputation on it. And that's where a lot of these teams get in trouble. The GM, that's like their last card. It's like, no, we can still turn it around with this guy. The moment that quarterback's out, the GM can be out, and they don't want to give up. No, give up. And, you know, if it causes you to get another quarterback that puts you in another 3-year rebuild cycle and you get fired during it, do it, because you're definitely going to get fired when you stick with Trubisky for 4 years and it doesn't work. Like, give up early. Like, just move on, go get another quarterback, see what happens.
I mean, they did get Nick Foles. I'm just saying he has won a Super Bowl as a backup and not as a starter. This is big brain stretch right here.
Go draft a new quarterback and don't waste time on Nick Foles. Same logic with Jacksonville. Why did they go get Nick Foles? Go draft a guy, because even when you randomly, I don't know, draft a guy with a weird mustache, you're like, that's a funny name, Gardner Minshew. We might as well take him. He could be a good backup. He's better than just paying Nick Foles. That's what you learn. It doesn't matter who it is, because guess what? If they're on a rookie deal and they're just accidentally good, that's better than you paying $20 million for a guy who already has proven they're not that good. Simple. Not that hard. I don't know why it's taking the NFL this long, where there's so many teams that don't understand this. This is very simple team building.
They don't play franchise mode on Madden. That's why.
Yeah, this isn't even from Madden. This is like literally, if you just sort of paid attention to the NFL season, you could pick this up. Like, it's one of those I said this back when the Chiefs went and traded for Matt Castle. And I was like, I just want like a Staples button. Like, I want to be able to hit the button and say, hey, don't get Matt Castle. Go pick up Michael Vick. You know, like, that was like the moment I wanted to do it, because it's like, I can't build the rest of the team. Like, if you put me in charge, I'm going to do worse than the worst GM. But there's that one moment where it's like, I'm smarter than you. Like, let me make this decision for you, because you're going to screw this up. This is the one that the average idiot football fan can do better than this GM that has all these years of experience. Maybe they're just too in it. They're too in the weeds, but they screw it up. And this is the moment where it's like, you just got to take yourself out of it and imagine, if I wasn't the one who was in charge of this, if I wasn't the one held responsible for picking Trubisky over Mahomes and Watson, what decision would I make? And, you know, imagine you did get fired in the new GM. What would they do? They would immediately move on and draft a new quarterback. You should just do that, because you're probably going to get fired, but you deserve it. And your best option of keeping your job is still doing that. It is still trying to rebuild quicker when you know that your first decision blew up in your face. So that's my explanation. That's the best I got. We'll stop calling this quick hits, because it just seems like it's fraudulent at this point. This one's holding all the cards. You got Kyler Murray, who already had a solid rookie season. People were projecting him to have a pretty big jump going into year 2, and that was before Bill O'Brien just gift-wrapped to him DeAndre Hopkins. Now the Cardinals did really good week 1 against a 49ers defense that was really good until everybody got injured this week. And then even the Washington football team, like, I don't think it's a big win to get 30-15 over them. But when you limit the number of sacks. I think it was 3, and I think Kyler Murray has been sacked 5 times this year, which usually happens more when you have a guy like him who will leave the pocket and try to make plays. I think that's really good against 2 amazing defensive lines to open up the season, and that's more important to me is they're protecting Kyler Murray. He's not making too many dumb decisions. I know there was the interception early against Washington where he gets happy feet and throws it into, 30 Washington players in the middle of the field. Only real bad play. Other than that, Kyler Murray has done amazing. When we're looking at this Cards team, is this a team that going into the postseason could end up becoming one of those teams that, dark horse bet to win a Super Bowl?
I don't think they can win the Super Bowl because they're going to just struggle to win the division because you still have Seattle in that division. But Kyler Murray with Hopkins, Kirk, Fitzgerald, you have Drake, who's a serviceable running back. They have pieces on the defense with Jones and co. I think this can be a fantastic offense. Are they there yet to win the Super Bowl? Probably not, because they're going to have to, get past Seattle, get past San Francisco if they ever do get healthy, or maybe San Francisco's whole team is just going to end up on the IR by week 5. Who knows? But what I will say is in terms of that offense, that Kyler Murray will put up better numbers than Patrick Mahomes this year.
Okay. We'll have to wait and see. I think I was just trying to think to last year. So Patrick Mahomes had like a down year, right? Like he was injured, and
he had a down year in quotes.
He came off 50 touchdowns, and he's like, "Oh yeah, down year, 36." It was just like, all right, well, if that's a down year, and we think of the weapons he has this year, like they haven't had a fast start, and he's still on track to have a decent statistical season. I assume it's even going to pick up as we get going here. So it's going to be tough for Kyler Murray to surpass him, but there's also that possibility of Kyler Murray's in more games where they're down and having to try to roar back into the game. He's going to pick up more of that garbage time stats. So you might not be wrong. And you add in the rushing, although Patrick Mahomes, did a little bit of his dancing again. I love when he does it once a game. And you're like, oh yeah, he can run a bit. That's cool. I like that. Don't run too much because you're going to get killed. Yeah. Just run a couple times and get down. Get down, Pat. Like you just start yelling at the TV. But, I think it's not a bad bet to go with Kyler Murray, but I wouldn't say it's a lock. I think Patrick Mahomes is there's still the potential that Patrick Mahomes by the end of the year just has some stupid stats, because if you can do this well starting as slow as they have, who knows what happens by the time you roll around to the postseason. Any other big NFL topics we need to hit? I do know we're going to get to Bobby's hypothetical sports bets to finish this one off, but anything that we missed from week 2?
I mean, we still got old man Brady in the Bucs looking like just complete trash on offense, but I think that will, it'll sort itself out. You saw him get a little bit of connection with Mike Evans. You didn't have Chris Godwin in there, Goodwin, whichever one he is, yeah. Godwin. And then you have Fournette, who had a good run. You have Ronald Jones, who still can't run the ball. But, as a Tom Brady fanboy, I hope he picks it up. I traded it for him in fantasy football, and after that first drive, I'm like, I'm a genius. My brain is so big. And then I look, and he has 8 points by the end of the game. But I think that's.
Tell me you didn't give up anybody good for Tom Brady.
I had to give up someone good because I have no running backs, and the person I traded for was Mostert. So that completely backfired for me because I had to give up Patrick Mahomes and Cooper because to me, it's standard scoring. So Cooper isn't that fantastic.
I know. It's still just tough. That's a tough decision to make.
Well, I picked up Cam Newton on waivers, so Tom Brady was really never my starter. But I was like, I need a running back, and I was like, this is fantastic. He already has 80 yards and a touchdown. There's only one play in the game, and then at halftime they're like, he's just not playing anymore. But that Bucs defense, just because I'm such a fanboy, I've been paying a little bit of attention. That defense looks much improved from last year. But, oh, man, that Bruce Arians offense, with Tom Brady, it looks slow. I hope it's going to pick up because Tom Brady does still look like he can throw the football. But it's painful to watch, especially like I mentioned earlier on, that Gronk just looks like, an old man with cement in his shoes trying to run. He had 1 target for no catches, so he's basically just a 6 offensive lineman at this point. It's a little sad to see my hero's age, but it happens, and I hope he has a respectable season, so at least him out of that Patriots uniform doesn't hurt me too much.
Yeah, I think there's a chance to turn it around. I think it's a good sign whenever your quarterback and coach are taking snipes at each other through the media. We'll see.
Only 1 week, too. Like, 1 game, and Bruce Arians is like, this guy's trash. Why did we sign him? Get him off my team.
I think he's trying to do – this is tough because I think he said it after – he's talking about Tom Brady joining the team and then took the huge shot at Jameis Winston. So he is just being an asshole. I was thinking maybe it's like that tough love type thing. And it's like that's not going to work with Tom Brady. Like even Bill Belichick's version of that is not trashing him in the media. It's like there's versions of tough love. And I think Bruce Arians is taking the wrong route there. So that's a recipe for disaster, and the fact that it hasn't started this well and they're already this mad at each other, I could see that just going down in flames pretty quickly. Let's get to the Bobby's hypothetical sports bet. What do you have on tap for us this week, Bobby?
So we always start off with the Thursday night game, and this is a fantastic game. You have the Miami Dolphins at the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got the Jaguars minus 2.5. I'll let you pick this one.
This is tough. So you got Dolphins had what I would consider a good week. Looking from the perspective of the Dolphins being such a I wouldn't even say a garbage fire, because at least last year they're supposed to be a tanking team and they found a way to still win. Looks like they have a head coach that's moving them in the right direction. So a talentless roster that can pick up wins that can't be considered all that bad. This year you're starting off on the wrong foot, but also I don't think a 3-point loss to the Buffalo Bills with the way they're playing right now is bad. And then you got Jaguars where Gardner Minshew is still trying to have his Cinderella run. And it's fun. It's a good time, but I feel like a 3-point loss to the Titans is worse. So I'm putting the Dolphins in my power rankings higher, and that's going to make me think I'm going to go Dolphins even with the spread where it's at. That's the win for me, I think.
That's a bold strategy, and I would never bet against a man who has the hair and the mustache like Gardner Minshew has. But the next game we got is the New England Patriots hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. The Patriots are minus 6.5. I'm just going to take the Patriots. I think, Josh Jacobs will run all over them and Derek Carr will be efficient, but I'm starting to believe a little bit in this Cam Newton-led offense. Not a whole lot. I think the defense will have a big bounce-back game, given it is Derek Carr and the Raiders. So I'm expecting, like a 10-point Patriots win there, maybe like 24-14. And I'm just going to skip a bunch of games. We all knew where we're going with these next 2 games. I'm going to let you pick both of them. You have the Jets at the Colts. The Colts are minus 9.5.
Take the Colts.
You're taking the Colts. Okay, here this is just a fun one. I don't even know if this is an actual spread or not, but I want to have a confidence meter on your part. Over under 1/2 bad fourth quarter interceptions for Philip Rivers.
1.5. I'll take the under.
No, just half.
Oh, just a half.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're good. You're good. You should work for Vegas. Who are they facing?
They're facing the Jets.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under. I feel like this would be like that moment that really lets you know that Philip Rivers will never change. So if he finds a way to pull it off against this Jets, I'm gonna go under.
You're gonna go under?
About it. I don't feel good about it, but I'll go under.
I can see the pain in your eyes right now.
It's tough.
And we knew it was coming next. You have the Carolina Panthers at the Chargers, and the Chargers are minus 6.5. Do we even have to finish the sentence? I think we both know where you should be going with this.
Is that 3 picks in a row? I thought you said 2.
Well, that's two. Well, the Phillip Rivers one was just for the
Oh, okay.
lull.
Okay. Man, putting me in a tough spot. I have to be a man of my word. Got to go against the Panthers. I'm going to take Chargers in this one. You're an agent of
I'm an agent of chaos.
it's crazy to me how much you know exactly which games will piss me off. Okay. How many more we got? Is that it?
I'm just gonna do two more because I'm trying to do the teams we like.
Well, I was thinking we should do. We normally start with Thursday, but this is our first Monday morning quarterback, so I'm going to try to get this at least the audio version of the podcast up before Monday, the Monday night game. So, do we want to do a bet on Saints Raiders?
Yeah, let me find the spread. We got the Saints are currently -5.5 against the Raiders. I mean, even without Michael Thomas, I think Alvin Kamara is just going to, do his thing and run all over the Raiders. So I would take the Saints -5.5.
Okay.
And I was gonna do the Bucks and the Broncos, but it's your pick. So we're just gonna skip to the end. I believe this is next Monday night. Well, we'll do it anyways because it's the Chiefs. Next Monday night, you have KC at Baltimore. The Ravens are -3.5.
This is the game. This is the one that we figure out how much the Chiefs are just sort of sleepwalking because they didn't take their opponent seriously. They have to take the Ravens seriously, and the Ravens have just been destroying people. I know. I have their defense in my fantasy league. It's been doing great. I'm gonna go Chiefs on this one. I just can't. Like there's no way for me to be in this type of game and to go against them. So the only games I'll ever pick against the Chiefs, they have to be like a 12-point favorite, and then I'll still sit there for a while and think about it. So yeah, I'm gonna go Chiefs.
And that's it. I think I'll just throw it out there. I think the Bucks -6 against the Broncos, who will not have Cortland Sutton and they will not have Drew Lock. I think that's a fantastic bet. Somehow that game opened up as the Bucks -1. So whoever got that game as Tampa Bay -1, I hope you put your house on that, and I hope you put your mother's house on that because that's that's a crime right there.
Yeah, it goes up to 6 pretty quickly there. So that's fun. So I think that in terms of the bets, those were a lot of the games that I think really stand out as what matters. If I was to pick one that I think is one to keep an eye on, Rams Bills. We've already talked up the Josh Allen factor. We've talked up where the Bills are, and obviously I'm still waiting to see how many more times Bobby says Buffalo will go undefeated before I realize if he's being ironic or not. But
it's 100% a coin flip. We'll say that.
All right. So Rams, interesting because this is looking a lot more like the Rams that made that Super Bowl run. You got a defense that isn't going to stop every team from putting points up, but they cause havoc. They cause problems for an offense. They cause turnovers. And then you have a offense with Jared Goff playing the best version of his robotic, controlled by Sean McVay from the sideline. And then you have what I think I don't want to say it's like a step forward from injury because one that just is really mean to the guy who got injured. But I think with Cam Akers going down and now you're going Brown, and I've felt this way for a while. That's why I had Henderson, and then I just needed the roster spot. But I feel like he is the perfect back for the Sean McVay system, and he wasn't quite ready. I don't know what it is that has made it where they haven't given him more reps. But now that that's cleared out of the way, they have to go with him, and he can be a game breaker type back that isn't a great between the tackles runner, but he's one of those small guys who's got some heft to him, and he will throw his shoulder in even if some of the bigger D tackles just pick him up off the ground and toss him down. And in the passing game, he gives so many options for a guy like Sean McVay, who's really good at scheming it up. So I'm interested to see how the Rams do, and this is a perfect test. This is Buffalo Bills that are looking like heavyweights. This is the Rams who, through 2 games, maybe they're back to their old status. There could be two pretenders in this game and we don't know. There could be two really good teams and only one can walk out the victor here. There's a lot that I think we can take away from this game. So that's not even just from this is the only one we didn't put in as a bet. I also think this is the most interesting game for week 3. Well, other than the Monday night Chiefs-Ravens, just because we already know they're juggernauts.
So who do you think is that? I would put my money on the Bills just because I'm not 100% sold on Jared Goff and that offense. Do you think the Bills pull this one out, or are you gonna take the hair flow of Goff?
Ooh, this is you got Buffalo -3. I mean, if we want to just put it, this seems like the perfect fillet of fish bet. We got to bring it back at some point.
We throwing out fillet of fish here?
I think we're gonna go fillet of fish. I'm going Rams. I'm
nervous about this one now because I want those fillet of fish. I'm gonna have to like Uber Eats them or something. I'm not sure how to get those. I'll have to like leave them at your doorstep and just have like a little bow on them.
I'll Venmo you the money. That'll work. All right. Well, that's no better way to wrap up the return of Bobby G to the Tell Me More podcast than to have a fillet of fish bet as the closer. That's all we have for this episode of Too Many Points. We should be back later in the week before the Thursday night game to have a full week 3 preview. I'm not sure if Bobby's going to be free for that one, but probably going to have Marco Marquez and Jackson Schneider on there. And then, we're going to try to keep this going. Bobby, just need to get you some caffeine or maybe some stronger drugs to make sure that you're awake Monday mornings. And we're going to start this is the new ritual. Anybody who needs whatever we offered, all 12 people that we had last year, we're back, baby. We're going to be doing this as much as we can. And maybe by next week, Bobby will watch a movie, so he'll have a great rant that I know was the biggest draw to people coming into the podcast each week.
Oh, we can do a rant. Don't you worry. We can do a rant. It's not there yet, but it's the anger is still built up from a fantasy football matchup. If we wanna do a rant, we can do a rant. Don't you worry.
All right. Well, there we go. We just got the perfect way to pull people in. That's all we have for this episode of Too Many Points on the Tell Me More podcast. Later, folks.